Good morning. Respected Minister Mamin Abdurrahman, Vice Minister Nasir Patrio, Ambassador Sandeep, Dr. R.S. Sharma, Dr. Habibi, other dignitaries and industry leaders present, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure for me to stand here because an idea on which I believe, that idea on which I got an opportunity to participate and play a role, is now seen and adopted by very many countries across the world. And Indonesia is one of the early adopters, and I believe is going to be the example of an idea, how an idea can be adopted, built, and made great by the commitment from the senior-most leaders and participation from the industry. My job is here to put a little more context to the idea of open network. We heard all the speakers talking about the possibilities. I'll put a little deeper into the idea. You know, if you remember, internet, it's not even more than one generation old. That's why I still remember how it started up in the early 80s when TCP/IP became a protocol that made it possible for computers to talk across continents. Then came Tim Berners-Lee made HTTP that made www a reality. And that made it possible for every common man to participate and not just geeks and computer scientists. Then came SMTP that made it possible for communicate each other. But if you look at something that is very common about all the three, probably we have taken these things for granted, that we don't understand this, that it was set on fundamental democratic principles. And that is why it was able to explode in its adoption at such speed. What was that is that all these three development were public goods. Nobody was making money out of it, and it was building on top of it. But industry was able to innovate on top of it and create significant wealth. So the founders made the very basic elementary foundational system and made it available, and the innovators built on the top of it. But when it came to commerce, the path just changed a little bit. The commerce became walled gardens. Few enterprises created proprietary protocol to practically take control of each domain. So if you go anywhere in the world, we have in every domain 2 or 3 enterprises practically controlling everybody. And that has become a challenge. So many developed countries are now trying to face this one by regulation. Americans are trying to do American Innovation and Choice Online Act, which is a regulatory approach to control the concentration and priority dealings. Europeans are trying to do Digital Market Access Act. There also the fundamental problem is the same. Market concentration and preferential dealment of their friends and relatives. But in India decided to go a slightly different path. India decided to use technology and markets and enabling policy as a way to approach this. So if you look at this, the open network is a digital infrastructure that enable inclusive commerce. So I'll go a little deeper into how this works for the benefit of a largest cross-section of people who have come here. If you look at on the left side, it represents today's platform-centric world. If you see, there are 3 platforms that is showing. For the simplicity of purpose, I am showing on one side the seller and the other side the buyers. If you look at platform A, has certain sellers, S1 and S2, and they can be visible only to the consumers of that platform A. And similarly, platform B and platform C. It becomes a challenge. So if I am a seller, if I want to have the full market access, I have to connect to multiple platforms. And that platforms becomes a controller of business. So intermediary has become the controller of the business, not the producer or the consumer. So that is why the idea of an open network that comes. The right side, what you see is the idea of an open network. We have created an open protocol which is giving you two capabilities to the whole ecosystem. Unbundling of components and interoperability. So what you're now seeing on the right side is now unbundling of the components of commerce, which is the selling interface and the buying interface. And if you are a seller linked to any one single platform, you become visible to all the market. So that is what, the spirit behind the open network. Onboard once and be visible for everybody. So today, as my previous speakers explained, it is not just about commerce. This is not about consumer products. This is not about electronics. It's about every product and services that is possible. So if you see the big picture of how it will evolve over a period of time, that every product and service which is catalogable can become available through a single integration onto this network. And very different kinds of buying interfaces will come and help their buyers to buy whatever that is relevant. So it is going to change the life of everybody. Let's take one or two examples. A farmer, for him it becomes possible through the network to buy better options for inputs, better options for services or better options for assaying, and better options to reach markets not just in his vicinity but across the country and probably across the world. It empowers an artisan. It empowers a micro business. Because if you look at the current kind of commerce, unless you are reasonably big, many of the components are too expensive or unavailable to you. Whether it is credit, if you are a small business and you don't have any collateral, your interest cost is 50 to 70 to 100%. You don't have an access to a good logistics network because you are irrelevant for him. You don't have an access to a good warehouse network because foundational it is not there. You can't even build up a nationwide reputation because reputation becomes the private property of the platforms. Whereas open network changed all this. And that is the spirit behind all of them. So this has a potential. So I would like to summarize by this saying, this has a potential now to transform the complete face of commerce and transaction. And this becomes possible only by the participation of all segments. It is not by throwing millions of dollars out and giving deep discounting or predatory pricing. It comes by the endorsement that comes from the highest authority, support that comes from the big business, support that comes from the philanthropic organization, and the initiative and innovations of billions of people and industrialists and small business who gets an opportunity to participate with the same right and opportunity as a big business. And that is about inclusion. So this will become a success only when it becomes a collective movement of everybody coming together, not few people throwing money, try to garner and take control. So this is an idea whose time has come. And we can't stop it. And I'm thankful to all of you for coming here today to know about it, learn about it, and become the ambassadors to make this to a movement across Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you very much.